actually, I really admire how far she's come, that she's been able to lose 20 pounds and keep it off. Things like Wegovy injections, you don't get more than 20 pounds weight loss. That's pretty much what you expect to get total from that kind of thing, like medications. And so on her own during this time, she's been studying, she's been researching, she's been reading books, she's on websites and she's looking at that what's the best way to do this. And so her learning curve is huge. She's on a really steep learning curve and learning a lot during this time, and she's lost 20 pounds. So it's
Gotta
not
celebrate the little milestones.
exactly. It's not the quick fix. I got to do it right away, and if it doesn't work, forget it. I'm not going to do anything. Giving up is not helpful, and that's true with anything. If you're committed to a marriage, and then it gets hard. And you know what? I my daughter is a therapist, and she's a couples therapist. And she was telling me this morning, she said, I don't know anyone of my friends, relatives, anyone in therapy. I don't know anyone who has an easy marriage. That it always has, there's always issues that come up. There's always problems. There's always things you have to deal with. And so, do you have a commitment to stick to it even when it gets hard? That's the thing is the stick-to-itiveness, being able to stay with it even though it's not working exactly the way you expect. So that's the key to all the New Year's resolutions. And one of the things that we wanted to talk today about is motivation. What gives the motivation? So if I want to do something, if I feel like doing something, I don't need motivation. I have motivation. It's my feelings. It's what I want. When I'm hungry, I don't need motivation to eat. I'm already motivated to eat. I'm hungry. When I'm thirsty, I don't need motivation to drink water. Someone uh, who said, "You need more water. You're not drinking enough water." Well, when I'm thirsty, I'm motivated to drink water. Outside of that, I'm going to have to be motivated somehow. So I have seen nurses coming in the nursing home with these jugs that gallon jugs that have lines on them, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock. They have to drink down by 10 o'clock. They have to get to that level. By 12 o'clock to that level, they have to drink water. They need that motivation to get it done. So, what is motivation and where does it come from? Where do you get the motivation to do something when you don't want to do it? And that's what we'll talk about today. That's the general overall thing. So, number one, the lowest level of motivation. This is motivation for children, animals, anything motivation, slaves. This is the motivation that is used most often is fear.
Mm.
Fear of pain, fear of death, fear of some kind of reprisal, fear of something bad happening to you. You go to church and they say, if you don't obey God, you're going to hell. That's fear, right? If your mom says, if you take that cookie, I'm gonna smack your hand. And then so that's fear, and that's the most common probably, but a really big motivator, right? Is
Absolutely.
absolutely fear. So, when you go to the doctor, most doctors use fear. We are taught in medical school that the best way to motivate people to get something done is fear. So, doctors have become bullies. We literally bully people into doing things like you better take your blood pressure medication or you're going to die. Uh,
Worst case scenarios.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. And it's not just that, like you go to a cancer doctor and they say, well, you better do exactly as I tell you right now, or you're gonna die. It's like one of my patients was in, and they were discussing options. The mom, who was in her 70s, had cancer. I believe it was breast cancer. And so the family's discussing this with the oncologist. and the patient had already told the woman had already told her kids that she really didn't want to do like cancer treatments and all that stuff. And so the children were telling the oncologist that, what other alternatives are there? Because we don't want to do chemotherapy. And the oncologist was like, "You're killing your mom." And they were like such bullies about, you have to do this chemotherapy or I won't get paid. It's really just a terrible way of. I don't think fear is the best way, but that's what we're told in medical school, that fear is the best way.
Yeah, fear works, but it may not
Yeah,
be the best, and it probably doesn't work long term, you know. I know
yeah,
like parents who discipline their children out of fear. We talked about that. I was a teacher, so we talk a lot about like classroom management. And if fear is what you're using to motivate, it's only while you're watching. You turn your back and they're doing something else. So fear's only real short term.
yeah. That's a good point, and that works for a lot of things. It only works short term, like the cookies in the cookie jar. As soon as you turn your back, they're gonna
Yes,
steal one out of there.
absolutely.
Okay, so then that's the lowest level of motivation. The next level of motivation to do something you don't want to do, that you don't already motivated to do, is reward. So reward is everywhere too. I mean, think about it. Why do you go to work? You say, "Well, I don't want to go to work today." Well, but I have to go because I need to get paid. I want the reward, so I'm going to go because that gives me the reward I want. Just about anything else, if you don't particularly want to go with your wife to the store and she says, "I want you to come," well, I want the reward, so I'm going to go with her. So looking for a reward that's a big thing too. And so even in like in the Bible with God says, "Well, if you're like obedient in everything, then you get the pie in the sky," right? That's the reward of those who are obedient. So that's the next level up of a motivation to do things.
Mhm.
Then a higher motivation than that is commitment. We've already talked about that today, like New Year's resolutions. You're saying, "Okay, I'm committing myself to doing this." People often do that for Lent, right? They make a commitment for 40 days. I'm gonna give up chocolate or something, that's like, or you get married, right? That's a commitment and it gets hard. And you're like, "This is really hard, but I'm committed, so I'm staying with it." You have children and you're going like, "Raising kids is tough. Can I give them away or something? This is really tough." No, I'm committed to raising my children. So that commitment is really important. And that's a motivation. It's the higher level of motivation. Now, what's the highest level of motivation? There's only four levels. You have fear, reward, and then commitment. That's a promise. And then the highest level is love. And love is the ultimate motivation. Why do you do something? Um, because of love, because I just love that. I love you. Love is I'm going to sacrifice for your benefit. I'm going to give. A lot of motivation for parenting, for example, is just pure love. The parents sacrificing themselves. I'm going to give up my sleep. I'm going to give up my money. I'm going to give up everything I wanted to do with my life. I'm giving up so that I can raise these children to grow them up so that they can become adults, so that they can have what I have. And that's what the ultimate motivation is, love. So if you're looking at what is going to motivate you to follow whatever your New Year's resolutions are. If you say, "I need to be healthy." Okay, so you just say, "Okay, I need to be healthy. So I am going to stick to the the diabetes solution kit. I'm gonna just follow the kit and stay on the diet, and I'm gonna do that." All right. So there's your commitment. Okay. Then your lowest level of motivation is fear. If I don't do this, then I'm going to have diabetes. I'm going to lose my feet. I'm going to get Alzheimer's disease. I'm going to go blind. Something bad is going to happen to me if I don't fix this diabetes thing. And then and that's actually that's a motivation. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just the lowest level. And then the next level up is a reward. And I was talking with that today about the patient that was having trouble with losing weight, and her husband says, "Well, if we do like a 3 day fast, then we can get a reward, right? And go get ice cream or something." It's like choose a reward that's not going to like damage your what you're trying to accomplish, right?
Exactly. You don't want to sabotage your efforts.
Yeah. So yeah, rewards are great too, but think of a reward that's like real, like, okay, I've always wanted to go to Disneyland. And so if I reach my 180 pounds, I get to go to Disneyland. And so you're every day you're stepping on the scale. I did it. We're off, that kind of thing. So rewards, they work too. That's a great way of doing it. The next level up is commitment. And it's because I said I would, therefore I'm going to do it. And that's a great way to do it if you're able to stick to the commitment that you make. And that takes a lot of self-control. That's why it's a higher level. And then the highest level is because because I love myself. People often don't think about that. They think about loving others, and they don't think about, I need care. I need to be the best that I can be. I need to become independent. I need to be um, healthy, because if I'm healthy, then I'm more able to help others. I'm more able to love others. I have something to give, and I'm not always, sick and having problems. And sorry, I can't help you because I'm too sick, kind of thing. So, somebody in a nursing home that requires 24-hour care is not going to be out there helping other people and loving other people and blessing other lives because they need 24-hour care, right? So you can use any or all of those levels of motivation to reach your goals this year. How's that?
That's great.
I
That
just made all that up.
did you?
Yeah.
All those levels and everything, right?
Yeah. So,
Oh my goodness. Yes, I was thinking when you were talking about love, it's like, yes, if you don't love yourself, you're not going to stick to it because, I mean, sure, there are people who will quit smoking for their spouse or their children or whatever, but I mean, sure, that's a motivator, but ultimately, you have to love yourself to want to make those changes and to stick with it. Do you see and when people are, trying to make goals or make changes, I mean, do you see any traps they can fall in, like some that you're like, "Oh my word, like don't go down that road. That's just a, that's a dead
yeah.
end." Or, well, what are some good goals that we can make, some good shifts, some good things to focus on?
Okay, first the traps.
Okay.
Okay, think about trap. The biggest trap it's not working for me. Somehow I'm not getting what I want right now out of this, or it's not what I expected. And that could be in anything. Like, think about it. Do you really know what you're getting into when you do anything in life? You know,
So
you get
true.
you get married, you don't know who you're marrying. I don't care
Hmm.
how long you've known them. Okay, I knew my wife for 30 years before we got married. And not
Hmm.
just like know who she was, but like know her well. Stay at her house and, be, I'd known her. I guess there's some explanation there.
Yes, that
Um,
sounds a little.
she 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 was my best friend's wife. He died of cancer. I got divorced. We got together. So
There you go.
so there you go. So
There, right.
I knew her like really well for 30 years. And then we got married and it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know her. I didn't know what I was getting into.
Yep.
Uh
A whole
uh
new level.
yeah, yeah. She's great, but different than before we were married, right?
Mhm.
So, when you have a kid, do you know what you're getting into? No, you don't know. You have no
Right.
clue
Yep.
what you're getting into when you have a kid. So the biggest trap is, well, it's not working for me. It's just not what I expected, so I'm not going to stick with it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a big trap.
Absolutely.
Another big trap is life getting in the way. As all of these other things are taking up my space, my time, my money, my resources are being used somewhere else. So now I can't keep my commitments, and that's where I was with my book. I was
Mm.
I'm working on it. Okay, and then I just get busy with all these other things, making videos for Barton Publishing and all this stuff.
It all gets in the way, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Gets in the way.
Oh my goodness. All right, how can people shift their mindset? So if you have the mindset of I'm trying to lose weight, all right, to the person who I want to prioritize my health. I mean, how do we shift our mindset? I mean, it's so hard to do. Do we need to look big picture or
Yeah. The way I do it, I don't know that everybody does it the same way. The way I do it is by researching, learning, reading books on the subject, and then I start getting into it. So this book that I'm writing on narcissism, I started getting into it. So a long time ago, I read a book called Disarming the Narcissist. And then my best friend is going to a therapist, and the therapist says, "Well, you're a narcissist. That's your problem." And so I started looking into it, researching, and all that. And so as I research, then I pick out information. Then I get motivated to change because of knowledge. So for me, knowledge is my greatest motivation. For other people, it's something else. It's somebody else coming to them. It's like for a narcissist, for example, it's usually, well, I have to come here because my to the therapist because if not, my wife is going to divorce me. So, so the motivation is
that
not
would be a fear motivation?
yeah, that they're seeking, that they're like, okay, I have to be here. Yeah. But finding out what do you want?
Hmm.
What is the ultimate goal of your life? And then start from there, from the ultimate goal to the lesser goals to the lesser goals, and then get down to the daily goals. This is what I'm doing daily to achieve what I want ultimately.
That reminds me, it makes me think like you need to know yourself, and kind of like what's your payoff, or did you ever read that book? It was about the different love languages. Some
Yeah,
people, so it's kind of like that.
the
You need
five
to
love
know, yeah,
languages.
the five love languages, like what works for you, what speaks to you.
Yeah,
So you really need to know yourself in order to motivate yourself, if you think about it,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, that book, like the love languages, is a better book for somebody to read to find out what their own love language is, than necessarily like of their spouse or significant
Hmm.
other,
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of times people get really discouraged, because you fail. And many people, they'll quit after one bad meal. Poop, I'm done. That's it. I screwed it up. I knew I couldn't do this, whatever. How do we move away from the all or nothing thinking and toward, more of a progress of, it's the progress over the perfection. Like how can we, make that shift and not
Yeah.
just give up after the screw up?
That's a good question. And that's um, have you ever heard of the marshmallows study? They
Have
put
not.
Okay, so they take these young children, they're 5 years old or whatever, and they put a marshmallow in front of them. They sit them in a room, and it's a pretty bland room with nothing in it, and they're just sitting there at a table, and they put and there's a plate on the table with a marshmallow on it. And they say, well, you can eat the marshmallow, but if you don't eat the marshmallow, when I come back, I'll give you another one. And so you'll have two marshmallows. And it was a really interesting study in that they actually had cameras on the kids, and it's hilarious if you look it up, the marshmallow study. They have these kids, they're like, and then they'll like taste it a little bit, and then they'll just say a little
Yeah.
more, just a little more. They're trying not to eat it because they want two marshmallows when the guy comes back. And of course everybody else is watching from the outside what they're going to do. And the kids that were able to just sit there and wait and leave the marshmallow there and wait, they did better on a lot of other scores and tests, and ultimately in school. Their lives were better because they had the ability to put off their own needs and desires and wants, their immediate needs and desires and wants. They were able to put off or postpone. So that ability to postpone is huge.
Oh, for
And
sure.
yeah.
I feel like I saw some people doing that on social media. They were filming their kids, but they had changed it to chocolate chips and then they would film. And it was very funny to watch the different personalities come out. What
Yeah.
would you be doing?
Oh, I just let it sit there. I-
Oh, good for you. Good for you. All right, so let's talk about setting ourselves up for success. What are some things we can do to be proactive? Like, what are some, I don't know, some tools we could use, some ways we can organize, keep ourselves from being stressed, help our mind, our mental, keep these goals, especially if we're talking, like health and things like that.
Okay. Set your life up. That's a great question. Because if your life is all set up for your current lifestyle, and you don't change anything in your environment and you expect your lifestyle to change, it's not going to change. That you have to set it up so that happens. So, for example, today, the person that I was talking to today, um, she says, well, I keep falling because, like, I don't know, because there's pie there. So I start eating pie, and then there's ice cream, and then there's chips to eat and all this stuff. And she's supposed to be on a ketogenic diet. And I said, well, why do you have anything in the house that has sugar or carbs in it? She goes, well, my husband brings stuff home, and her husband's sitting right next to her. And I look at him, he goes, yeah, it's my fault. So our agreement was to set up the environment in the house so that there's no carbs in the house. And so whatever you're doing, set it up so that that becomes the obvious way things are going to go. Your brain works that way. When you think a certain way, when you focus on certain things, people who are like pessimists versus optimists, the brain gets kind of like tracks in it, and so the marbles run down that track. And in order to make a new track, you have to like practice, 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 and then the marble can go down a different track. So you can become an optimist by thinking optimism things. So, for example, there was studies done, a book that I read recently recommended that in order to to change from a negative to a positive mindset, just do this one exercise, and that was to every night write down, like specifically write down on paper, three good things that happened today. And I started doing that because he said this is like a way of changing, because what happens at first, you sit there at the end of the day and go, I can't think of anything good that happened today. And then you go, well, I didn't crash on the way to work. Okay, that's good.
That's a stretch, but that's a good thing. It's a good
Uh,
thing.
my wife didn't argue with me. Okay, so you're stretching the okay, something good but that's not a positive thing, but okay. Uh, the but after a while, as you're doing that during the day, as you're going through the day, you're going, oh, that's a good thing. I'm going to write that down tonight. And you start thinking about things and you start looking for the good. And it's amazing how much transformation can happen from just writing down three good things that happened that day, every night. And so that's setting yourself up for being positive. And so setting yourself up for losing weight is to change your whole environment, get rid of all the junk. I've actually been to people's houses. I had a patient that said she couldn't do it anyway. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to your house and I'm going to help you. Bought in a big trash can with a big trash bag and went through us and I'm like, yeah, this macaroni and cheese, you can't pulling stuff off the shelf and filled a trash can from her pantry. And I said, okay, here's your shopping list, and it's in the diabetes solution kit. Here's your shopping list. Go and buy anything on this list, and replace all this stuff. And literally threw everything in the trash. Didn't give it away or anything. Just threw it in the trash. But
Yeah, got to get rid of, yeah, because you're going to have the weak moments and you're going to have the temptation. And it's just how determined are you? Are you going to get in the car and drive back to the store?
uh,
Or are you going to be like, okay, it's not here, I'm good, you know?
yeah.
I do like setting yourself up. Yes, meal prepping, setting your life up. Absolutely. Clearing the time on your schedule, just some of those things. Yeah, you have to make the actual changes that, to make sure that you're successful. Absolutely. Okay. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to start going into the Q&A for some questions. I'll see if we have any questions about mindset and goals, or if we are just going to get to. All right, so I see. Oh, Donna's asking the name of the book for positive thinking. Do you know the name of the book?
Okay, I can find it.
Okay, he's
It's
gonna
in
find
it's in my phone.
it. Okay. I will scan the rest of the questions while you are doing that. Okay. And while we're doing that, hello, Susan in Virginia. I'm just kind of been busy over here in my chat, so I haven't been able to say hello to people. We've got Paul, who's in Arkansas, and Gail from Alberta, Canada. Hello, Gail.
Oh, here it is. Flourish by Martin Seligman.
Okay.
Seligman. Flourish is the name of the book.
All right. Thank you. Love that. All right. Let's get to some other questions. We have Sharon is asking in the chat about synochroma. She says synochroma has bark extract, 10 to 1, 250 milligrams. Does this mean I shouldn't or don't need to add the Ceylon cinnamon to my food, like to my applesauce, rice, whatever? Is there a potential to take too much cinnamon?
Okay, so the answer to the first question is you can use cinnamon as a spice anytime you want, even if you're taking synochroma. And can you get too much? In this case, no, you wouldn't get too much. That wouldn't be an issue.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Then we have another question about synochroma. Can cancer negate the effects of synochroma? I went from 14.9 A1C to 5.2 and then back to 8.6 with my sugar readings 490 and felt way under 150. Now my sugar consistently runs in between 260 and 340. I was told by someone that cancer could negate the benefits of synochroma. due to stress reacting to pain and causing my sugar to spike.
Wow, that's a lot of change from 14 to 5 to 8. That's
Oh, and
those are
he added that he also went from 270 pounds down to 226 in 3.5 weeks.
yeah, that's pretty low. So, huh. Um, yeah. So can it yes, cancer or a lot of stress can certainly negate the effect of synochroma. Synochroma is really just, I mean, think about it as a supplement.
Mm-hmm.
People who have type 2 diabetes, have insulin resistance, they need help with insulin resistance. So in order to help that, some people are deficient in chromium, they're deficient in selenium. These are common deficiencies. Vitamin D, people are deficient. So we have good doses of each one of those to just to make sure you're not deficient so you don't have that issue as part of your insulin resistance. But yeah, if you've got cancer, gee, that's gonna be way more than anything Synachroma can handle.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. All right. Jacob says my A1C was 8.8 and it's now 5.4. I'm too thin from fasting and now I want to put on some weight. What is the healthiest way to gain weight? Plant-based organic protein, or what would you suggest?
Okay, Jacob, good job. I don't think you understand. You may not understand in just your little comment about it was 8.8, now it's 5.4. That's huge.
That is wonderful. Yes. Good
If,
job,
if you
Jacob.
if you were to go to a physician and say, "Can I be non-diabetic?" then they would say no. But you did it. You were clearly diabetic at 8.8 hemoglobin A1C, and now at 5.4, you are non-diabetic. Okay. So then the weight thing. You don't want to you don't want to fast too much. You don't want to lose weight. So gaining weight, the best way to gain weight is through exercise and a high protein diet. It insulin makes you gain fat and it'll create insulin resistance again. So that's not a good way to do it. So exercising an extra amount, and I don't mean by walking around the block, I mean like going to the gym and actually building muscle.
Hmm.
So resistance training kind of exercise and then a high protein diet would be a lot better because that would help your diabetes and prevent you from moving back into diabetes. Whereas if you're trying to get weight gain that's fat, that's probably going to be counterproductive.
Okay. Yep. And that gaining that muscle, the plus it's going to help with so many other things. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. So many other
exactly.
things.
Exactly.
All right. Richard says, I have recently been diagnosed with silent acid reflux. And then there's a really long name there, Larry and I don't know, reflux
Oh,
disease. You can say that, right?
laryngopharyngeal. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there a way to treat this naturally without Prilosec?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so we have something that helps reflux, reflux reliever,
Mm,
that is rather useful. It has apple cider vinegar in it, but also look at what you're putting in your stomach and how often, because people with chronic acid reflux, especially silent reflux, have been shown to have low acid, not high acid. Why is that? Because if you eat frequently, like people are still told today, even though it's been debunked, 5 small meals a day with snacks in between, so you never have an empty stomach. It's a terrible advice because it causes acid reflux, among other things, diabetes, both. So instead of using something like Prilosec to get rid of acid, you already have low acid because every time you eat, the acid goes up. And then between meals, it goes down. And then you eat again and it goes up. But if you're eating all the time, what does it do? It goes up and then it's just constant. You have this constant medium level of acid that has this silent acid reflux disease. So, laryngopharyngeal reflux disease. So the way to handle that is to space out your meals. Eat 2 meals a day, morning and afternoon, and have 5 hours between them so that you actually have an empty stomach before you eat the next meal. And what that does is allows it to reset. And then you go to bed at night and you have an empty stomach so you don't make stomach acid. And that's the best way to handle that.
Okay. Excellent. All right. I am going to drop the link for the reflux reliever in the chat along with our code webinar 25, which does save you 25% if you would be interested in purchasing that. And that includes if you were to get a subscription as well. So I will put that out there. All right. Let's go on to another question. Oh, this is Catherine had put this in the Q&A, and I feel the same way, Catherine. She says so many times when you research, you can get so confused because everybody has the right thing to do and they don't agree. How do you
Uh,
sift through all that information? How can we look for the good information? Where do we go?
it's so hard to find good information, especially in the healthcare field, because there's so much conflicting. You can find conflicting evidence for anything.
Hmm.
So where do you get good information? I don't know. I look up a lot of different sources and I look up the types of studies that they do. And if there are short-term studies and they're using relative risk ratios, then I go, that's all suspect. That's probably not real. If they're long-term studies with absolute risks, then those are better studies. And so you have to analyze critically everything, the basis of everything. So you just can't take an opinion as a fact. The people have opinions and they have a basis, a foundation for whatever their opinion is. And then so you ask about their foundation. Where does your opinion come from? Oh, I read this book. Okay, and then you look at the book, and then the book says this and this and this. And then one of the things that has helped me is reading conflicting information, is looking at both sides and then weighing, okay, they're saying this because of this and they're saying that because of that. And therefore, I agree on this side more, or um, for this certain person is going to be better served by this than that kind of thing.
Hmm. Do you
It's not
have
easy.
anywhere like that you're comfortable with? You're like, okay, I feel like this particular site's got good information, or um, this particular publisher or whatever. Or do you still find you're having to sift through?
You have to sift through. So you go on the government website, the National Library of Medicine, and you look at all the stuff that they have there, and they have like everything conflicting is on there too. So you can't say, oh yeah, this comes from the National Library of Medicine, therefore, no, there's no therefore. It's still suspect. Actually, lately I've been using this new AI called Alter AI, Alter
Hmm.
AI, and it's a private one. And I've gone through a whole bunch of different AI programs, and mostly I find it garbage in, garbage out.
Hmm.
Mostly they're using drug company marketing, drug company stuff because I'm doing health stuff. But marketing, whatever's out there on the internet, they take a preponderance of what's on the internet and they condense it down and summarize it, and they give you that. And what's out there on the internet isn't all true, except
Well, no, and don't you have to find out like who is paying for the research?
Exactly. But this Alter AI, it's a subscription, so it's paid for by the people who use it, and they don't train it on marketing materials. They train it on actual research, and they vet the research before the AI is trained. And I've tried it on a lot of different things that I know a lot about, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Hmm.
In fact, it told me something I didn't know about. the mammograms and the relative risk versus the absolute risk. And it says, well, you know, the relative risk makes it look good, like it's maybe 30, 40%, but the absolute risk is so tiny is less than 1%. So the fact of that was a big eye opener to me because if you ask around 100 different doctors, maybe one or two of them would know the difference between an absolute risk and a relative risk ratio. And this AI did it. So Alter AI, not a bad source of information.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know I've seen many people also ask the question, of course, it's you want to have a medical advisor that you trust. You want to be working with somebody you trust. And clearly, we have you an hour a week and you're split in many different directions with all of us even. If we're looking for a doctor like you, like what are they looking for? What are you asking for? I guess that where do we go?
Yeah, you would look for a functional medicine doctor. So, doctors that learn functional medicine, they're generally trained much more broadly. So, when in our textbook in endocrinology in medical school, was a significant textbook, but it was nothing compared to the endocrinology class that I had with the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. It's a functional medicine course, and it was this big syllabus, and we had to know, gosh. So functional medicine doctors are generally better trained than most other physicians.
Okay. All right. So that's definitely something to look into, functional. Okay. And I feel like those are starting to become more prominent now.
Yeah, yeah. I used to go to conferences and we would have 2 or 300 at the conference. Now there's like 5,000 at the conference.
Good.
It's like huge.
That is good news.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Rosalind has a testimony. She says, "Hi, Dr. Saunders. Welcome back and Happy New Year. I have a testimony to share with you regarding the Nervala. I went on detox for 5 days. When I finished, I decided to take the Nervala instead of gabapentin. It's really been working. In the past, I bought bottles of Cinachroma and Nervala, but was not taking the Nervala because I just didn't know if I wanted to deal with the pain. Anyway, it's been working well, and I got my A12 down from 9.4 to 6.6. I am going through
Wow.
this 21 days. That's
Wow. In
amazing.
21 days. That's awesome. That's good work. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. Nervala, that's a good one. I'm glad you're getting relief from that, Rosalind. And gabapentin, I've had family members that have had to be on gabapentin, and boy, that's a rough one. It makes you so sleepy and not so fun. All right, let's move on. Richard wants to know, does Synachroma help repair the pancreas?
No, that's not what it does. But um, if you are insulin resistant because you have a deficiency of something like chromium. So your insulin isn't working well. Then the pancreas is putting out insulin to lower the blood sugar, but it's not working. So then you take synachroma, and all of a sudden the insulin can bind to the insulin receptors, and everything starts working again. And then your pancreas doesn't have to put out so much insulin. And so we have had people say, I didn't change anything. I just started taking Synachroma and everything came down to normal. Well, that person was deficient in what, chromium, vanadium, selenium, something that was required that was missing. And now it's not missing, so everything just functions well. And that's kind of why it's a good idea if you have type 2 to take that anyway, just to make sure that that's not your issue.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right, so Lily has a question. She says, I am taking these names. Boluke, Boluke.
Blow you oak, yeah.
Okay, Canada RNA 2,
Yeah.
okay, which is improving leg clot and circulation. Urine strips tell me that my urine's highly alkaline. Like darkest green, black. Is it bad to be too alkaline? What happens?
It's not necessarily bad to be too alkaline. Being alkaline, generally alkaline urine is good. The blue yolk is a lumbrokinase that it helps dissolve clots. And so that might not be the reason why you have alkaline urine. The alkaline urine has a lot of different reasons, especially if you're getting, I don't know, baking soda can alkalinize urine somewhat. Breathing difficulties, getting hyperventilation, um, food generally, changes in your diet. So I don't know. I wouldn't know why the lumbrokinase, the blue yolk, would cause cause alkaline urine, but the answer is alkaline urine is generally a good thing.
Okay. All right. Okay, so this next one says fasting for more than 15 hours can spike fasting glucose level. Is it true? I did everything right, but recurrent occurrence of UTI is a problem with me. How can I prevent that? And then
Okay,
there's another message that goes along with it. Microscopic examination shows many bacteria in my urine. Um, I want to take, oh boy, phosphomycin trimethane now. What do you think of it? I don't know if I butchered that. Trimethoprim.
okay. Okay, so if there's bacteria in the urine,
Hmm.
what does that have to do with the 15 hours of fasting? Okay,
Yeah,
so
maybe it was two questions. I'm not
maybe
sure.
there's two separate questions. Okay,
Hmm.
so uh when you're fasting, the question is how in the heck can fasting spike glucose? Well, after your glucose starts dropping low, then your insulin drops down and you release something called glucagon. And glucagon tells your liver make more sugar, and
Hmm.
it literally makes more sugar. So your liver starts dumping sugar into your blood, raising your blood glucose. And that's why your blood sugar goes up after fasting. So that's kind of a separate issue from the urine. And you know what? The only thing, if your urine is showing bacteria and anything, the best thing to do is get a culture. Culture the urine to see what's growing in there, because sometimes it's just uh, a whole bunch of different bacteria that are contamination and not an actual infection.
Okay. Okay. All righty. Um, all right. So we have someone who's asking for someone who's with them. They want to know what effect does vitamin D milk have to do with bone acid? I'm told by my must be kidney doc, to back off milk, but it's hard for me to do. I don't understand why.
Okay, so if you have a kidney doctor, that generally means you have some kind of kidney disease. The high protein increases the nitrogenous waste that have to be excreted by the kidneys. So on the one hand, the urea nitrogen, the waste products are going to generally go up if you have kidney problems. But there's one other thing, and that is not milk specifically, but when you have a lot of protein in your diet and you have kidney dysfunction, it accelerates kidney problems. So that's kind of an important thing to that actually probably a good idea to be off milk.
Okay. All right. Well, we are nearing the time when we are almost done here. It has flown by. This has been a really great conversation. Okay, so as we prepare to head out, if we move our, selves back to making those transformations and that mindset change and all that, um, sometimes, start small, one good positive change. If somebody could just take one small action in the next 24 hours to move the needle on a, health transformation with their, all of that, what would be something that you might suggest that they do? What's a good needle mover,
Okay,
generally
a
speaking?
simple needle mover that most people wouldn't think of is going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time.
Oh, yes.
Uh,
Tell
you
us
know,
really quick. We've got 3 minutes. Just kind of zip through that. Why is that so important?
people who don't sleep well have a lot of stress.
Mm,
And so we talk a lot about, we sell supplements and we talk about drugs and diet and exercise, and that amounts to maybe 20%
mm,
of your health and your lifespan and your health span. What's the other 80%? Well, it's stress. And so if you can decrease your stress, one of the best ways is to sleep.
yes.
So getting to sleep on time and going the same time every day, going to bed every night at 10, waking up every morning at 6, or getting up every morning at 6, and then having a normal circadian rhythm is a good way to keep you from getting really high stress hormone levels that can negate every other good thing you do. If you're trying to diet and lose weight and you have high stress hormone levels, that makes you insulin resistant. Your hormones are fighting against you, and they're fighting hard, and they're going to win if you're stressed. If you're trying to feel better, if you're trying to get motivated to do something, if you're trying to have energy, stress hormones block all of that. So anything else you're trying to do is going to be blocked by high stress. So first thing to do is sleep.
Okay. Same time every night.
Yeah, same time, 10 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning. Every day it's same.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I love
All
that. I love that. Well, I know that you need to get back to your patients, and I'm going to wrap things up on this end here. So we will see you
right.
back here next week, Dr. Saunders.
All
Thank you for
right.
being with us. All right, for the rest of you here, we will be back here next week. Please make sure you come with your questions. If we didn't get to your question today, I apologize. We ran out of time, but we will be back here again next week. I also dropped in our chat if you ever want to get more information from Dr. Saunders. He writes a lot of articles for us, and those are on our website at homecuresthatwork.com. So I dropped that link in the chat. You can click on that and you can search anything by topic. So you could go in and search fasting or stress or any of the topics that you're interested in. I will go in and I'll search for one topic, and I usually end up in a rabbit hole going down so many others and just get so much really great information. So that is in the chat for you as well. And then the last thing I wanted to mention to you, as we're having this conversation today about making changes that are long term, I feel like it's a really good time to remind you all of a free resource that we have here for you, for each of you at Barton Nutrition. We have coaches available to go over your unique situation, things like your current goals, or maybe you need to make them, supplements you're taking, nutrition habits, specific challenges maybe you're facing. And those goals will help, or I'm sorry, those coaches will help you come up with a game plan that fits you. So it's not one size fits all, it's tailored to fit you. And they can help you figure out what's working with what you're doing, what's not working, and really help get some clear next steps to help you move faster towards your goals. So I dropped the link in the chat for that too, where you can schedule a free session with one of our coaches. So I hope that some of you will be able to take advantage of that. So, and then as a reminder, if you miss any of the links that we share here, or you want to rewatch any of our past webinars, you can always go to YouTube and search for Barton Publishing webinars, and you'll find the links that we're sharing today. I'm putting those now in the description of each video, and then you can watch past episodes as well and even hear more from Dr. Saunders. So remember, progress is not a straight line, but as long as you keep showing up, you're winning. So we want you to keep showing up here on the webinar and asking your questions, and we hope to be able to help you in any way that we can. So have a great week, and we will see you back here, same time, same place next week.